first step, second step, and then you third step, and then you bend it, and then you cook it, and then you put it together, and then you pray to God, and then you have to adjust it. Okay. So you have two options basically. You can teach yourself to play on whatever, or you can teach yourself to be a specialist in making these. First thing is this, the last thing is the boring way, I think. When I say that you have to be able to play on whatever, I mean it. This is a straw. You see, it's just bended here, it's folded here, and then I make some holes. And it's actually difficult to play because you have to have stability here and stability here.
This is really improvised in the sense that you don't know exactly before what they're playing, right?
When I improvise like on the straw, it's a special scale and it's a specific emotionality you can say that you're heading for, and there's some rules. Some of them are explicit, some of them are implicit. You don't really know the rules, you're just playing according to some rules. So it's also much more strict improvisation than it usually appears to be. Yeah. So that, I found out that I can't really find a qualitative difference. The interesting thing about classical music is that the structure is much more interesting usually.
Sure. In this, what you played, as also yesterday night in the concert, there is a sort of, let's say, introduction or first part where no metrical structure is established. And then at a certain moment it comes out of what you were doing, and something fixed, something stable and regular comes out.
It's very much like many people know classical Indian music, where you have the raga, you have the introduction, where there's no rhythm, absolutely no metrum. Exactly. Still there is an implicit rhythm. You are actually playing rhythmically, but it's like it's not like 1, 2, 3, 4 at all. Yes. At all. Yeah. For instance, in one of the Bulgarian introductions, where you play, if you cut it down, it's actually, so it's a complicated uneven bar, uneven row. So there's actually a rhythm. If you listen close to the Bulgarian music, is all the embellishments is in time. Yeah. But then Romanian is different. The Romanians kind of relate to an unheard rhythm, and rhythm that you don't hear, but where you actually relate. There is actually some kind of pulse that you're relating to. I think the same in Indian music. But then when the rhythm starts, that was a Turkish piece we played yesterday. The only thing that's fixed is the scale. And there are thousands of scales in Turkish music. I don't know all of them at all. but there are many different scales, and like we have the major, which we say is light, open, light, and minor, which is you say it's sad or it's dark or it's introvert or whatever. But here we have like many different scales, and each of the scales, you know, has a specific emotional quality that it is tuned to create, you can say. But a very shaded kind of emotionality. It's not like happy, sad. It's like very complex, you can say. So that's what's very fabulously fascinating. That when you start to play this Oriental music, you can say, is that you develop a sensitivity. You really develop a sensitivity to scale, to the inherent depth that's built into a scale. When I was teaching at the Royal Conservatory, when you want to apply, you have to play, you know, for a couple of teachers, that kind of. We usually ask them to play just a simple scale, slowly and musically, sure. And you could hear so much from that. How developed the musical sensitivity was, how developed the intonation was actually, and the sense for intonation. Because it could be out of tune, but you could hear the tendency to correct in the right direction, exactly. Or not. That was very interesting. So basically, what we're talking about, basically this is one of the things that I really was inspired by from Celibidache as a teacher myself, was that there's absolutely nothing like musicality's Leerlauf. You know, you cannot play an etude or a scale or anything without an absolute conscious musical awareness.
And the problem is you can play. That's it.
Yeah. But if you do it, it's dangerous actually, because it degenerates. Your exactly. Musical sensitivity degenerates because you just tolerate unmusicality and machine-like performance, and it's absolutely a problem. Yeah.
That's also one of the reasons why using the records as means of learning a piece is so diabolic, even. Not to listen once to have an idea what the big conductor 50 years ago did, but to use it in a repetitive way. Yeah. So this spontaneous sensibility gets more and more lost.
Yeah. Right.
And we stick to what we call, these are the intervals, the harmony, and all we can fix more or less, we can know about.
Yeah, you have a fixed, and that means a dead reference.
Absolutely.
Reference for something that's alive, should be alive. It's true. And that applies even to the most perfect recording.
Absolutely.
I was so fascinated when Sergio Celibidache, when he was young, he told that you didn't have that. You could go to concerts, and you could play four-hand piano. So you know, you wanted to find out about Brahms. Okay, you get the score, and you sit down. And I imagine young guys, you know, sitting down, you know, to the middle of the night, you know, trying to find out about Brahms' Fourth Symphony and trying to structure it and rediscovering it from the very beginning, like a first performance. And that's why it's so fascinating when you listen to recordings, you know, from the first half of the last century of the 20th century. It's very different. It's very different when you listen to different violin players. Different tones, different style, different interpretations. Piano players the same. Today is much more the same because they have found ways to, which is fantastic. I mean, I can see if you want to be a bassoon player, we have found ways to teach you how to play the most efficient way, and that it will end out with that kind of sound,
exactly,
and that kind of vibrato. Take it or leave it.
Yes.
And that's what's happened on violin. Same thing. I think Furtwängler once said that when he was skiing. When he was young, you know, it took months, years to learn to make slalom, you know, efficiently. But now, you know, you can just go to the mountains and get a good ski instruction, and in 2 days you can do it because they have found ways to teach it. But that means also that you will play in exactly the same way.
Sure. I was teaching in Japan, and they had a system to have each 6 weeks a new professor for the same students.
Mm-hmm.
So what did they get? From each professor, his way to do the thing.
Right.
And they were absolutely, most of them, totally disorientated.
Right.
They came to me, but no, I know this way to do and I know this way, but which one should I do?
Right.
So it was really a very dramatic situation.
Yeah.
But they had this idea to get the most open to what is going on in the musical world.
Yeah.
So they invited all the famous professors, each one after the other. Not being conscious about what the student would need. It's an orientation which he could find himself by his means, and not an orientation by how you should do.
Right.
And that was, for me, absolutely shocking. I could not understand how this system could be established, but of course it was a real idea, pedagogical idea, and also a cultural, political thing. But it was more than dramatic for the students. They really felt lost.
Yeah. It's a strange thing because also you can see it in this politically correct kind of musicianship when we talk about old music should be played on old instruments. And it's not that I'm against it, but the idea that there was a specific way that Bach, Brahms, Wagner, Beethoven, Mozart wanted his music to be, and we should do what we can to find out why. Because Mozart's consciousness is like 300 years old. We have moved. We want to see, the amazing thing is that he wrote something that you, being a postmodern, very complicated, raised human being living in a very complex world, that we are actually able to embrace, like Mozart's music, completely rediscovering yourself in that music, but with the mindset that you have right now. So I'm not sure that I would be interested in hearing the way Mozart would perceive his own music. It's my music, it's not Mozart's music anymore. If it's not my music, it will not help us. And then you have this strange idea on old instruments where some conductors is like if they're throwing dices about the dynamics, if it should be 40, if it should be pianissimo, it's like throwing dices. It's absolutely incredibly 100% objectively unmusical, some of what I hear.
And the importance is given to a totally peripheric aspect.
Right,
how it did sound maybe 20 years ago. We still don't know.
Yeah.
So this comes in the center. And then you open the radio, this is old music. So without any further research of the real relations that you may find in it.
Yeah. No, but it's interesting because Bartók, for instance, was very interested in the roots of the Hungarian folk music. So he went to Turkey, and I have a beautiful book where you see him sitting in Kurdistan, with his suit and his hat, sitting cross-legged, with some desert tribal, I don't know what. And then he wrote down a lot of the music. And I remember, because I couldn't recognize any of it, and I happened to know something about Turkish music because I've been studying it. And there was one piece where you see he writes da do da di da 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 di di. It's very complicated with a lot of pauses and da 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 di da 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 di da di da 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 da. And I know it's a special kind of music, you can say, where I want to tell you something, but it's difficult for me to say. It's ram ba da 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 ba da ba la da 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 ba bi da la da da di da ba da da ba 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 da da di ra da da di da ba la da da di da da. How would you write that down? And then 300 years later say, now I know how to play da 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 di da da da. It's not even near. And if you, the basic thing that you find out about music is that there is not such thing as almost music. You can write all the crescendos and all the diminuendos down. And it's as unmusical as if you did the opposite, if it's not a living reality that you rediscover in yourself. You could say, I remember Celibidache said that es gibt nicht fast Musik und es gibt nicht fast schwanger, something like that. You cannot be almost pregnant. And that's actually, that's a basic truth, which means it's there or it's not there. It's not a relative thing, more or less musical. It hits the point and it's alive and it's breathing and it's you, and you cannot make distinction about whether it's Mozart or whether it's yourself or whether it's you or whether it's instrument or what. It is just one thing which is called expression, and you feel yourself, you experience yourself as that expression being expressed as much as you express. It's just one thing. And there you can talk about music, but there's no almost that state.
Sure.
It's not possible.
This coincidence between what the musician may leave in the score and how he expresses it. If this gets 1, we say, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
If you call it perfection or that's the way how I can follow finally.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that 5 years later, 10 years later, the same person doing same piece, the result is different. But this difference
should be different.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But this difference does not really show up. It does not interest us, because in both situations, or we are with the other in this very moment.
Exactly. Yeah.
So there is no comparison possible.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
Or we are outside, like a critic. 10 years ago we did it faster. Now it's slower.
Yeah.
This takes it exactly away from what we are looking for.
Exactly, because then there's again a point of reference, an external point of reference that you're relating to, and then you are separated. I mean, that's it. Yeah.
The whole musical world, even each person, I would say, is looking for this reference outside that gives some security.
Yeah.
But at a certain moment we can leave. No, we have to accept this cannot touch the musical phenomenon. At the very moment where we accept, or where we are looking for something outside that gives us security, it's like that because of who knows.
Yeah.
The thing does not happen.
Right, that's true. Yeah.
It's like in the modern physics, when they're trying to measure the quantum. And when they're trying to measure it, it disappears. So you cannot come from outside.
Right. What you want to measure is changed by measuring it.
Exactly.
So what you want to experience is changed by referring to an hour. That's a good analogy. You can say, yeah.
And this means, in any moment, we need a real courage.
Yeah.
A real courage. This courage consists in being conscious that the only how do you call it? Not institution. The only thing or capacity we can rely on is our possibility in this very moment to live the relation between this and this and this.
Yeah.
If you rely on how myself I lived it yesterday, no chance.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's a real sort of, I would call it hygiene.
Yeah.
Really to insist, no, it's now and here.
Yeah.
It's not what we did yesterday or how it could be or how it should be. It's here and now that we maybe are able to find a way how everything integrates.
Right. But that's also the experience, because I happen to have been playing in the same chamber music ensemble for many years, like the Danish Wind Quintet. Like we celebrated 40 years anniversary 1.5 months ago. We hadn't been playing for some years, and then suddenly we were together again, and that was absolutely fantastic. We didn't play, like when we were young, but there was this incredible musical depth that we have been developing during the years, and if I recall what that is about, I mean, playing Carl Nielsen is a famous Danish composer, so I mean the Carl Nielsen Wind Quintet is one of the masterpieces in that repertoire. So of course we have been playing that many times. I mean 400 or 500 times or something to concerts. And I think the reason why that it's still alive, that you can still play it, absolutely, is that you rediscover it every time. It's like absolutely rediscovered. It's not like you never heard it before. That would be pretentious, because part of who you are is your knowledge of that music. That's part of who you are, and all of that you bring into service. But the thing is that it begins with a bassoon solo, and literally you I don't know how many times I have just that starts the thing, and you have no idea about how to play that, because you know that it has consequences for the whole. So it's just at a certain point you just throw yourself out, and then it just comes out in some way. And you cannot control exactly the way it comes out, but it just has consequences for the whole thing, actually. It's amazing. So what you're talking about is this absolute willingness to risk everything.
And it has one precondition, that you really have done the way already through the piece.
Yeah.
If you don't know the piece,
no, you wouldn't have a chance, actually, because
absolutely.
Because what makes it so risky and fantastic is that you actually know that these first notes are not only these first notes. These first notes, in a way, embody the whole quintet, because they have consequences all over the quintet. And the reason why I play it like that is that there is a high point there, and it has some way, in some way, it is already in the beginning. You know, we can
but you're not thinking about that.
Not at all.
Fantastic.
If
you play it, it is there.
You're not thinking. You just at this very moment, you just feel that it's like the Big Bang. Out of nothing came something, actually.
And therefore, we can easily understand. There's so many moments where you begin and you feel, no, this has no future.
Yeah.
So you have to begin again.
Yeah.
First note already.
Yeah, that's true.
That's so astonishing.
Yeah.
And it's not because we have an image. Oh, so no, it's different than the image. We should do differently. We should come in. No. It's with this beginning. We see not the potential possibility to come to the end.
Right. But that's the very thing when we talk. You know, when you talk, sometimes you just feel that when you say something, you know that it's actually in a way prepared. And you just feel this can never be an authentic expression, because, you know, it is dead, you know, years before you just open your mouth in a certain way.
And then you still have to continue.
So you have to start again.
Yeah.
You have to fumble sometime. And bear the discomfort of not really knowing what you're talking about. Same thing.
Yeah, I mean, in talking, for me, it's more and more experience that is quite familiar to music. In the way that when you begin something, a phrase, let's say, you have to be aware of the end.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be aware of everything you want to express.
Yeah.
And then you're looking for the terms, for a word, for the construction that may help to transmit it, to communicate.
Yeah.
But there's no guarantee.
It's interesting, because you can say that this awareness of what you want to say and the end of the phrase is as like I'm speaking right now. It's difficult to talk about it as being aware of it, because if you are too aware of where you want to go, you cannot come there. You can't get there. That's the interesting thing. You can even talking, you actually throw yourself out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even there, any static aspect. Yeah, I fix this.
Yeah.
I want to go there to come to this point. May destroy everything.
It dies. Yeah,
It dies.
sure. Yeah. Maybe this is the dead track. I don't really know, but there's something about that. What we're talking about is when you play something and you have the idea that it's fixed. It's the opposite thing. It's already degenerated. It's already stifled. It's already so. There's something that when you, let's say, this is a magical moment. The moment you just begin, when you begin a piece of music, is actually is challenging. You know, especially if you're alone, like in Carl Nielsen. There's something that you can begin it in a way so that all possibilities in a way are held open. You know, that you can say this could. Or you could start it in a certain way. I think I already said it. Like it's very simple what I say. It's either dead, no possibilities, or it's alive, all possibilities. That's the thing. Yeah.
So that is in the work with the orchestra one of the most biggest challenges. Each night to bring them to the point that they do the way for the first time, in a certain sense.
Yeah.
But not like that, not knowing anything, being oriented in any moment.
Yeah, sure.
But not according to the way how we have to do it or how we did it. And this is really, for me, practically the most challenging dimension in the work with orchestra. To help them to come again to this sort of freedom.
Yeah.
Each one of them is challenged personally to find the orientation,
Right.
together with the others.
Yeah.
And this is, in some situations, impossible.
Right.
In other situations, there is at least a little chance of movement. I wouldn't say a chance of arriving, but of movement. And that's, for me, it's already a stimulus. That is.
But isn't that the difficulty of having a lot of different conductors in an orchestra? Because I'm thinking of, if you look at like Celibidache's relationship to the Munich, his orchestra in Munich, and there was something developing between the musicians and Celibidache, and also Furtwängler and the Berlin Berlin Philharmonic was absolutely this, that he was really conducting together with the orchestra in a way, that they were on the same page. It was frustrating that you had a conductor and you didn't have much time with him, and you had to find out what he meant about it, and most of what you were concerned about was to play it in a way so that he seemed satisfied. And where is Beethoven in that? He's just replaced by some obstacle basically, which is, in this case is a conductor, and so it's very much according to the situation. Also, I know that in great orchestras, the conductor that just come, and he has like 1.5 rehearsal or something like that, and then go for it. Yeah. So what's that?
The more we are free, or all of us are free from the, let's say, technical aspects, the more possibilities we can find to orientate and to create something. Therefore, Celibidache almost said, the better the orchestra, the more rehearsals, not in the contrary.
But this is the whole of real creativity is this position of not knowing, wanting to know. That you're empty-handed. And of course you're not empty-handed because you have your whole background as a musician, but you don't have anything in your hands. That's the thing. You are. So there's a certain throwing yourself out. There's a certain leap. There's a certain leap where you to get rid of yourself in a certain way. To get rid of your ideas, to get rid of all the fixed, dead, strangling ideas about yourself in relationship to music, and that's the hardest thing, and that's the main thing for a musician and for a conductor and a teacher also, to find that place of total vulnerability where something new can happen, something not new, something alive can happen.
Because new, that was always understood, it's different from what we had before.
Yeah, exactly,
That's not the point.
No, it's not the point, exactly. For instance, now we have a lot of musicians who specialize in, let's say, Chopin. Chopin, there's a certain piano player, they play Chopin the whole life, and you just feel that they have so much awareness of so small details that it's almost defragmented, It's almost like it's falling up. It's like degenerated, complete degeneration, when they put the big wall around China and isolated from the rest of the world. There was just this incredible degeneration, happening, that more and more ceremonies, were spinning around, without really understanding the connection, why it is there. And the comparison. So you hear this a lot of details in like Chopin. There's a hesitation, and you feel there's, and but there's not a rhythm, there's no dance. Sure. That you just feel absolute degeneration. There's no freshness. There's not finding it. There's just this kind of self-massage happening. It's very, very distasteful. Yeah. If you listen in that way, where you say, "Hey, where's the freshness?" It's a what is a waltz? A waltz? Waltz. It's a waltz. Dum ba da dum bum. Where is that?
A human being like that could not live.
Yeah.
That something is missing.
Exactly, yeah. I think Celibidache had a term for that. He called it Spiel der Empfindung.
Yeah.
Your interpretation of music is the emotionality of the music as the first priority, and you never ever reach the music, which means there's not a core, soulful human being self-awareness, taking responsibility for prioritizing all these emotionalities, But if you identify yourself as an emotional, what's the difference between you and a dog? I mean, a dog is only emotion. We recognize the emotions. It's nice to have a dog, but we can do something different. So it's a very important point. When I talk about differentiation, integration, you can say, like, I just have an example so you understand what I mean. Like Tiger Woods, Tiger Woods, the golf player. He can teach, I think, for 2 months just how to grab hold on the club. Differentiation. Whether, I don't know, thousands of billions of details integrated into one strong decision. That's the integration you see. And
finally, this step cannot be taught in the
this step, the step where he just because there's something awesome if you look at Tiger Woods, let's say. I'm not particularly knowing about golf, but something on hotel rooms is satisfying to look at people who know something and want something and have developed skills. So I just see this guy, and you have no idea the billions of things that's present in his awareness, about how long, how far, how much, how this, thousands and thousands of things. And then and from that suddenly, there's the big bang, puff, this incredible, brutal, determined decision, where everything is not like in quantum mechanics, the wave package collapses now. This is the decision. Now it comes into reality. Everything is potential. Now it comes into reality, and that's the point of integration.
Yeah.
It just happened.
The same thing when you begin, before you begin a piece.
Yeah.
You are in contact with so many different moments, and you really try to have the most differentiated contact with all what will be happening in the piece. But finally, there is a moment where, out of all this, the upbeat comes out, and
exactly, yeah.
You are not anymore with thinking, now it should be good to begin, or now I have unified everything, so now I know how it goes. Not at all. It just happens.
Yeah.
But it happens via yourself.
Yeah,
it's not that something happens and you are there and observing.
No. You're just aware of something is happening. That's the interesting thing. And what are you doing, is not even... It's a tricky point to it, because who is actually doing whatever it is? Because you are there. You are absolutely necessary in what's happening, but it's a very...
That's nothing to do with passivity.
No, absolutely not. It's total activity, but who is choosing it? But anyway, that's interesting questions. You don't have to find answers to this question. You just see that it's happening.